Welcome to another things right or wrong with some type of video. These are the top 10 good things. These are the 10 good things about Avengers and X Men Access. Yep, event released just a few years ago. These are the good things. First, the Iron Man title got redeemed. Yes, after the book had been falling down, basically the fall of the Iron Man title started with the end of the Secret Origin Tony Stark storyline, where it was revealed that Tony Stark was adopted. That was the start of the fall. It pretty much hit rock bottom when it was revealed that, not only Tony Stark is adopted, but apparently he's also responsible for the creation of the Hulk. That was like dead rock bottom. My friend Edgar thinks that is where Karen Gillian's run completely rock bottom. Thanks to the events of Access, we got redemption thanks to the form of the Superior Iron Man title. A title of which was written a lot better than Superior Spider-Man, where, get this, the other characters know that something is wrong with Tony. Unlike in Superior Spider-Man, where all the characters written so stupid. Yeah, it's completely true. If you read Superior Spider-Man, almost all the characters are written to be so stupid that they don't even know that Peter, or at least Spider-Man, is acting completely different than usual. Yeah, so that's the first good thing. Alright? Next, Spider-Man is one of the driving forces of the event. Now, this is something I had to talk about, because whenever you read a big Marvel event, name one event before this one where Spider-Man is one of the driving forces of the event. The answer? Only one. The original Civil War. Rest of the time, the guy does jack squat. I mean, yeah, he's the driving force for a little while, actually. But in overall, really big, him stepping up, it's like Marvel just didn't really care to give him something, because usually, when it comes to these events, usually it's Cap, Iron Man, and Thor who gets a lot of the glory during a lot of these crossovers. Spider-Man does not get that unless, of course, it's in his own crossover events. In the case of Access, that was not the case. In the case of this one, Iron Man, Thor, and Sam Wilson, who was basically one of the Captain America, who's currently one of two Captain Americas, but at this point, he was the only Captain America. Where they all turn bad, so put Spider-Man up front. As a matter of fact, Spider-Man is basically leading the charge in this crossover. And when was the last time you actually saw this? And not only this, he was featured in a lot of the tie-ins. And I'll get to the tie-ins really soon, but yeah, this is another good thing about it, is that Spider-Man, one of my favorite superheroes, is a driving force of a Marvel event crossover. Yep. Alright, number 3. The tie-ins are good. Yes, the tie-ins are all really good. None of them were bad, actually. They were really interesting. It did tie into the event pretty well. The only thing ongoing that was tied into the event was Wolverine the X Men, Nova, and as far as I recall, and of course Superior Iron Man, obviously. But aside from these 3 titles, there were no other ongoing series tied to the event. And in the case of Nova, it was only 2 issues, and that was it. In the case of Superior Iron Man, it was the first 3 issues of that series. In Wolverine the X Men was the last issue of that series. But as for anything else ongoing, nope. There was nothing. There was one other one. Magneto and Loki, Agent of Asgard. These 2 titles did tie into the event. And unlike with Civil War 2, where the storyline in whatever storyline in the book was interrupted, these books, the storyline was not interrupted, because in the case of Loki, Agent of Asgard, he had already wrapped up his first story arc prior to Access. I mean, you had the prelude to Access, which basically helped set up the events of Access in Loki, Agent of Asgard book, and then you have a few issues actually tying to the actual event. And of course, afterwards, who knows? I'll get to that in another video, but yeah. But as for the mini-series, there were a few of them. Not many, but a few. You had the Access Revolutions, which basically details a lot of the A lot of the other astonishing Avengers, which I'll get to them soon, the other reformed villains, what they were up to during Access. Oh, there was one other title. Amazing X Men had one issue of the series, one issue tied into the event, and it's Nightcrawler going crazy and trying to kill a Catholic priest. Yeah, Nightcrawler being evil. That is something interesting with his mother being good. Yep. There was also the Hobgoblin miniseries, which was awesome, and same thing with Carnage. And I'll get to those two guys about those two soon. But all the tie-ins were really good. None of them were bad. None. They were all really, really good, and did help sort of advance the storyline, expanded upon the initial 9 issues, which is exactly what tie-ins are supposed to do, not contradict what's going on in the main series. These technically did not. Alright, number 4. Sabretooth be a good guy. Now, this is something completely original. Now, they've tried reforming him several times over the years, but he still has his violent tendencies. This one, he's actually out. With this one, he's turned to good, and after the event, he stays good. Yeah, he's still good. And he because of Wolverine's death, he decided to basically start wearing a costume similar to Wolverine's, but without the mask. Which, okay, that's actually quite interesting, the fact he did that. And after Access, he stayed inverted. No change. He stayed exactly the same. Mainly because Tony Stark didn't want to go back being good. Same thing with Havoc, which I'll get to their problem soon. Though it's kind of coincidental that Sabretooth and Havoc were standing next to Iron Man when he put that shield up whenever it was turned back to the way they were supposed to be. Yeah, it's really bizarre. Alright, number 5. Magneto being a badass. Yeah. I mean, this is the guy who basically instigated the start of the crossover. The guy who instigated the first part of the crossover, where this guy, he smashed the Red Skull's head with a boulder, which this I kind of expect for him because he's an anti-hero, and I don't have a problem with him killing people. Matter of fact, he was killing people in his own title. But Magneto acting the way he does during the events of the crossover, it's perfectly in character. Though one thing that kind of bugs me, though, at what point do you think that Magneto actually was inverted? Because it didn't seem like his attitude really changed all that much during the course of the crossover. Heck, even whenever he turned back to normal, he's still exactly the same, which that's something that kind of bugs me about the title, is that they never exactly stated. Now, he's supposed to be immune from telepathic attacks thanks to his helmet. Did Rick Remender actually forget that? Or maybe someone, I don't know, but yeah, Magneto being a badass during a crossover, which is really good. Number 6, and Tivia would love this one. The return, basically the characters of Straxure, who is now Stinger, and Dr. Voodoo, basically being resurrected during the course of the crossover. Straxure was resurrected in Avengers World, which was another one of the, which actually the only regular Avengers title actually tied into the event. He had 2 X Men books. I forgot about that one, which I'll talk about that one. I think that's on the list, isn't it? Yeah, that's actually the next one, which I'll get to that soon. But basically, these two were brought back thanks to Doctor Doom, and I gotta appreciate the title being. The Dr. Voodoo was brought back in the main title, while Straxure was brought back in Avengers World. Basically, Doctor Doom made deals and got them resurrected in order to atone for his sins, which I'll get to that soon. But thanks, I mean, this is one thing Timmy probably agrees. This is probably one good thing about the event is the return of Cassie Lang, which she had been unceremoniously killed off during the miniseries Avengers Children's Crusade. She got killed off toward the end of the series. As a matter of fact, she's actually one of 3 people who actually died during the series. There was Jack of Hearts and the Second Vision. Yep. Alright, number 7 is Doctor Doom doing good things. He got basically inverted during the crossover event, definitely. Even afterwards, he was starting to turn over a new leaf anyways. I mean, he formed his own Avengers team to take on the Scarlet Witch, which right after they dealt with the Scarlet Witch is like, we're done. We accomplished our mission. Stop Scarlet Witch. And it's odd, though, that he assembled a group of C-list Avengers. But it was an interesting laugh, nonetheless. I recommend checking out the Avengers World tie-ins, issues 15 and 16. to see what lands. A couple of members were Valkyrie and U.S. Agent. Even Stingray was part of the group, which, yeah, good. All right, number 8, Jarvis being an event. Now, this is something I've got to talk about because prior to this event, Jarvis had been unexpectedly absent from a lot of Marvel books prior to this event. I mean, prior to this, when was the last time we saw him in any book? In any Marvel book? The answer, it's like because, well, in the films, Jarvis is, well, an AI, so why keep around the Butler version of him, the one who's human? Now, I'm not sure exactly what Marvel's plan to do with him was, because they pretty much almost phased him out, but he's popping up now and again. Now he's currently a supporting character in the Unstoppable Wasp series, which, by the way, it's awesome, by the way. But prior to Access, it's like maybe the Marvel writers forgot the fact he exists. I mean, he's the creation of Stan the Man Lee and Jack Kirby, for crying out loud. And it's like, I think maybe the last time I may have seen him was actually prior to AVX. But aside from that, it's like everybody just forgot this character exists. Like, oh, Jarvis is still around. He's got a mustache. Okay. Now, this is that's one thing I had to point out, because Jarvis, Edwin Jarvis, the Butler, the Avengers Butler, and it's like Rick Remender's like, hey, no one's using this character. I'll put him in the crossover, even though I'll give him a minor role, but I'll put him in there. That's probably Rick Remender was thinking, though, after this event, and of course after he did his Uncanny Avengers second volume, he left Marvel after that. Too bad, though, because he was a damn good writer. Yep. Number 9, The Astonishing Avengers. Pretty much Magneto's group of villains that he assembled, because during the first part of the crossover, Red Skull had brought out these Sentinels that were meant to kill superheroes. And apparently they were designed by Tony Stark. They're referred to as Stark Sentinels. Now, apparently Tony Stark did not remember building these dang things, and that's just my nephew. He didn't remember building. Apparently, Red Skull manipulated him to building these things, and apparently, the information to go on these Sentinels actually goes as far back as the original Civil War event, which I could have sworn that Tony Stark pretty much deleted all that information like right after Secret Invasion. So either one or two things might have happened. Either one, Red Skull looked deep into Tony Stark's mind for the information, or two, he must have had a backup. Tony Stark must have had a backup not even he knew about. Yeah, that's something that wasn't explained, but pretty much his group of villains were this. He got Loki, the Enchantress, Absorb Man, Titania, Doctor Doom, Hobgoblin. He even got Deadpool, which he's not a villain, but yeah, he was inverted during the crossover. I'm trying to think, though, was there anybody else? Oh yeah, Deadpool's book also tied into Access. I forgot about that. I'm trying to think, though, was there anybody else? No, surprisingly not. I should point out, originally in the advertisements, Hobgoblin was going to be Green Goblin, but he was repainted to be Hobgoblin for some reason. But yeah, but these seven villains, these 7 people, along with Magneto, have made 8. Now, they were an unnamed team during issue 3 when they should have, and of course they defeated the Stark Sentinels. Excuse me. And then Steve Rogers brought them back because of the heroes all turning evil. Because of the inversion thing. Though for some reason Nova was on the island, but apparently he was off the island when the inversion took place, so he was immune from it. Yeah. But yeah, I got to admit, having this. Now, of course, the villains were actually assembled in the pages of Magneto, so you can kind of basically thank Colin Bunn for basically helping Rick Remender for assembling these team villains, because according to Magneto, it's like, okay, we can't have heroes. Heroes are useless against these particular Sentinels. What about supervillains? Not a bad idea. And it was actually a really good lineup. I mean, like I said, I already said lineup already, but yeah, really good lineup. And this is also kind of basically leads the way to Deadpool later on after Secret Wars to joining the Avengers, which he eventually does. Yeah. So that's another really good thing about it. Mm-hmm. And last but not least, Hobgoblin and Carnage being good guys. Yep. Hobgoblin and Green Goblin. Though for some reason people kind of forget about what happened with these two during the event. Now, Hobgoblin decided to go public. Yeah, Roger Kingsley went public and actually published a book. Yes, a book about his time as the Hobgoblin, and yet apparently no one had a problem. They became an international celebrity. It was a fun miniseries. I gotta praise it. I think Roger Stern wrote the miniseries. No mistake. I don't remember. If anybody remembers exactly who wrote the Hobgoblin miniseries or Atkins, please put in the comments below. As for Carnage, Carnage becomes a hero. He doesn't exactly kill anybody. He's like, okay, and he acts like Spider-Man during this whole miniseries. And there's also point out that Spider-Man does show up in his miniseries, and also, of course, afterwards he later show up in Nova, where Nova takes him on for a few issues, then he drops off in jail. This is, of course, after the inversion was reversed. But yeah, turning these two noteworthy Spider-Man villains good, like inverting, this was a good idea, something that never been accomplished before. But yeah, so that's really it when it comes to 10 good things about Avengers and X Men Access. I will be doing a companion video to this one, the 4 bad things about Avengers and X Men Access. Tivia, Edgar, if you wanted to basically do your own version of this video, go right ahead. Doesn't matter to me. As a matter of fact, I welcome it. And Tivia, if you're going to do good things by Access, please list more than just the return of Straxure. Because I list up a lot of really good things about the crossover. So hopefully you get a chance to do something about it. Alright, so that's it for this one. Stay tuned for those 4 bad things about Avengers and X Men Access, okay? Until then, I will see you there. Bye.